Now, Thursday, the third Thursday of November every year since 2002 has been set aside to celebrate the World Philosophy Day. And there are a lot of controversies surrounding philosophy as a discipline or as a course and all of that. And to come talk to us on World Philosophy Day, we have a lecturer from the Department of Philosophy, University of Calabar, here in our dear state, Calabar. We have Dr. Samuel Aloysius Ekanem. Good morning, Doctor. So good to have you on the show this morning.
Good morning, Joe.
Okay,
it's my pleasure to be with you too.
Excellent. Let's quickly start with the World Philosophy Day. What should be the significance behind this celebration?
Well, philosophy as a discipline, it's the father of all disciplines. Every discipline once upon a time was subsumed in philosophy. And as societies began to evolve, many other disciplines decided to break out for the purpose of specialization. So philosophy as it is the be-all and end-all.
Wow. Okay. Now, one would ask, if one, to a layman, what is philosophy?
All right. To a layman, I would put it this way, that philosophy is simply a reflective activity that is geared towards solving man's existential problems. And looking at it from the professional perspective, philosophy is derived from two Greek words, philien and sophia. And philien meaning love and sophia meaning wisdom. We are told that these two words were coined by the great philosopher come mathematician Pythagoras of Samos. And you know, the Greeks had leisure. The Greeks were interested in knowledge for the purpose of just having knowledge. They were not interested in knowledge for the purpose of applicability. And so we are told that in ancient Greek city-states, the philosophers then, or the sophists, so to say in professional terms, will gather at the Athenian agora every morning and would engage themselves in dialectical conversations. And at the end of the day, when they get exhausted, they would go home satisfied that they have been able to give birth, to knowledge. And so the Greeks actually were out by the fact that knowledge for them was just for the sake of being knowledgeable. It was not for the purpose of practical applications. And so that's why Pythagoras of Samos decided to coin the word philosophy from philien and sophia, that this business, this enterprise is solely an enterprise that is geared towards knowledge for knowledge's sake.
Okay, now right from the time of philosophy till this modern times, there happen to be some form of myth around philosophy, and one of them is philosophy seem to be against God, seem to be against creation. But let's point out a few myths that maybe you've come across as a lecturer surrounding what you've heard, or maybe as a lecturer you've also taught. Let's look at those myths surrounding philosophy. Is it against God and the rest?
Well, I'll begin from a quote by one of the greatest philosophers of the modern era, by name Francis Bacon. He was of the opinion that a little philosophy inclines one to atheism. But when you go deep into philosophy, it helps you to apprehend the reality of the existence of God. And so, like you have said, philosophers are not just atheists, but philosophy exposes you. It helps you to view reality from a dispassionate angle with a view to attending objectivity. So that's basically what philosophy, it opens your mind, it trains you, it guides you, it helps you to apprehend reality from a holistic perspective. And that's why a lot of people have misconstrued philosophy as something or as a discipline that encourages atheism.
Okay. So invariably, it's not that at all.
It's not at all.
Okay. Now let's look at the place of philosophy in society, modern day governance and all of that. What's the place of philosophy in modern day governance?
Philosophers, right from the ancient Greek city-states, were interested in governance. For instance, I'll give you an example. Plato, in his Republic, actually set out to solve the problem of governance in his own milieu. There is a philosophical dictum that says that every philosopher is the son of his age, and that the reason being that a philosopher looks at being a philosopher, an intellectual gadfly. He tries to wake people up from their dogmatic slumber and into the reality of the facts that are. And so philosophy as it is, from the time of Socrates up till this very day, their concerns have been the issue of governance. So Plato basically wrote in his Republic that until philosophers become kings and kings become philosophers, there will be no peace in the world. And we know that his philosophy was basically a reaction against the death of Socrates, his bosom friend and intellectual mentor. We are told that because Socrates had engaged a couple of youths in the ancient Greek city-states in dialectical conversations, and with a view to opening their mind and with a view to making them appreciate the beauty of philosophy. The sophists of those times, who were corrupt, they thought for money, and so they were threatened by the fact that Socrates was teaching or encouraging people to acquire knowledge without a price. And so they conspired together and made sure that Socrates was sentenced to death, and he was made to drink the hemlock. And in his last days, Socrates had an opportunity to escape, but he said to his disciples, of which Plato was one of the most outstanding, that a philosopher should not be afraid of death, because death is the doorway into the bosom of knowledge. And hence, there is a concept in philosophy which states that the soul does not die, the immortality of the soul, because the soul is that component in man that is not seen. So basically, Plato's philosophy was a reaction against the death of Socrates. And in his Republic, he began to marshal out points as to how the society should be governed and the people that should govern the society. In his work, he structured the society into three parts: the guardian class, the spirited class, and then the appetitive. For him, justice can never be attained in the society except everyone maintains his position and works harmoniously in complementary relationship with other arms of the society to make sure that things go well. Aside from that, justice can never be attained in the society. So whether you look at it from any perspective or not, even down to Karl Marx, you will discover that every one of them were all interested in how society should be governed, how the scarce resources should be allocated, who gets what, how, and when. And so you can see that philosophy plays a very strategic role in governance. It plays a very strategic role in prescription. It plays a very strategic role in helping the society to shape its own.
Okay, and finally, before I let you go, let's look at the prospect of philosophy. Is it limited by scope? One who studies philosophy only ends up being a lecturer? What are the prospects out there, moving beyond the four corners of the university world?
Well, we're looking at the prospects of philosophy. First of all, if you look at the curriculum of the Nigerian university, you will discover that philosophy and logic had been one of the most outstanding courses in the GSS, the General Studies for all students of the university. That shows you that philosophy is very strategic. One of the things that philosophy does, especially that branch of philosophy that has to do with logic, is that it teaches you to discern between correct and incorrect reasoning. And as such, philosophy does not just begin and ends in classroom. There is the dimension of philosophy that could be applied in a day-to-day experience. And so the prospects of philosophy has gone beyond the classroom, because one of the things that philosophy teaches you is how to engage your mind critically with a view to solving your very often conflicting existential problems.
Okay. And on a day like this, World Philosophy Day, what will be your message to Cross Riverians, especially those watching this segment now?
Well, my message to Cross Riverians is that I would encourage everyone to do a bit of philosophy. Whether you're conscious of it or not, it is often said within philosophical parlance that once upon a time philosophy began in an ancient Greek city-state, but I would put it this way, that philosophy began in the Garden of Eden, and that God himself is a philosopher, because we are told in scriptures that he said to himself, let us make man. So first of all, he had cognized the existence of man before man was created. And so that is philosophy in display. So my message to everyone is that it would be necessary for every person who is in governance, every person who is contributing in the various sphere of human endeavor to learn a bit of philosophy. And until this is done, men will not learn to develop the virtues of tolerance, which is one of the things that would help the society to become what we want the society to be. The virtues of tolerance is one of the key things that philosophy teaches. It opens up to allow many flowers to blossom. It believes in objectivity. It believes in the fact that every individual's opinion counts. And so, I would encourage everyone to get into philosophy, even if you don't want to read it into PhD level. Just know a bit about philosophy. It will help you to apprehend reality from a holistic perspective.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Samuel Kanem, lecturer, Department of Philosophy, University of Calabar. Thank you for coming to share your thought with us on the World Philosophy Day. We hope to bring you back some other time for more other discourse to open up our minds.
Thank you very much.
All right.
I'm glad to be here.
Okay.